As before, we have to reset the software because it simply won't work if we press the pump buttons. So we'll press Control, Shift, and Alt. Do you want to quit? Yes, please. And okay, that's that part done. Let's talk about what you do when you get a participant in here. So the first thing you do, after giving them the instruction sheets, etc., all that fun stuff, you need to click on BSc Taste Project, and we're loaded, and we're presented with this screen here again. So to run the program, you press F7, or anyway, there's a number of different ways of running the program. Now, if this is your third participant, you'll write 103 into that box. If it's your 20th participant, you'll type 120 into that box. And quite simply, that number corresponds to the participant number. You have to add 100 onto it. Now, the reason why we've done that is because by default, this horrible program, which is an ePrime program, always has 1 as the default participant number. And Johanna and myself have lost data in the past by accidentally overwriting data because of this annoying default 1 option. So it's always best to have your first participant, to start your participant number sequence from a number other than 1. And 101 is the option in which we chose. Anyway, so we'll enter participant 120 in, and this is the experiment. So the very first thing you need to do is you need to remove all the air from all of your syringes. Now I'm just going to take this guy off. Okay, it's doing it again, one sec. So we had to remove all the air from the ends of the syringes. Now this is important because it helps with accuracy, as in any air bubbles in the syringes will replace water content in the individual drink, which leads to inaccuracy. So we click run all pumps. We wait until all the air bubbles have disappeared, perhaps a few seconds, then we click stop pumps. Now if there's one pump in particular which has a particularly large amount of air in, you can, let's say pump 2, you can click pump 2 to remove air only from that particular pump. To continue on with the study, you press C, and it says up in this corner. And this is the experiment, and you're quite familiar with this, I would imagine, by now. So I'll quit from the experiment again, Control Shift Alt. And that's that part of the explanation done. I'd like to talk to you about the folder within which all this information is held within. So here's your shortcut to the experiments. Here, right next door to it is the folder in which everything is held within. Now you'll notice within this folder there's several key files. There is the actual experiment itself, which is aw11.ebs at the top, very hard to see unfortunately. There's also this experiment maker 3 button icon, and there's several other lots of information here. Now most important to you guys, I'd imagine, is the results file. And you'll notice at the top here, it's quite hard to see actually through this camera, which is a bit unfortunate. Can we scroll any further? Not really, doesn't matter there. Now you have these .ja files. Now each of these files contains the results for one participant. Now, the other day, you ran the 101, the very first participants, and this person's data was stored in 101.ja. So we'll double click on that, and it'll automatically load within Excel. And here's your data for that person. Okay, so it looks quite scary, but it's not really that scary in the results file. It's all in columns. Now, you'll notice that column B goes from 0 to 46, if I remember. This corresponds to the trials. So you had 46 trials, including demo trials. So in other words, the first 6 of these rows are practice trials, and the remainder are actual experiment files. Now, it's also important to know what drink was presented to the participant at a given time, which is column C, and what colour was that drink, which was column D. Again, very easy to figure out. Now, all the rest of the information is really backup information, and you can ignore it. Column M and N are important though. M tells you the scale which was used first. So the very first scale on the first trial, the participant was asked, how sharp is this drink? And the second scale which the participant was asked about was, how sweet was this drink? Now if you scroll over a few more columns, in column Q it says 999. That's a bit weird, but 999 means that for this first scale, very sharp, that the participant actually didn't manage to respond in time. Now I've used 999 so that when you eventually go and compute your Excel result sheets, your graph will be very, very, very skewed if any of these 999 values are left in. It's just the ultimate way to test whether or not you have any wrong data points in your results file. The second column, column R, is a 2, and this means that on the very sweet rating, the participant scored this lemon yellow drink as 2 out of 5 in terms of sweetness. And I'm sure you can figure out how to grab this data for each participant and put it within one large Excel sheet. So we'll quit from this Excel sheet. Now, if you take these files and you put them on your home computer, if you double click on them, you'll just be presented with. You won't load up in Microsoft Excel. It'll probably load up in Notepad. Hopefully it will actually ask you what program the computer should load up those files within. So let me just simulate this quickly. I've simply copied the very first lot of results. I'm gonna, instead of calling it a .ja file, I'm gonna call it a .aj file. And so when I try and open this file now, it says we don't know what to use to open this program. So I select the program from a list, clicked OK, and then you scroll down to find Excel, or you might need to click on Browse to find the appropriate program. Now importantly, you'll notice there's a tab which says always use the selected program to open this type of file. If that's clicked, when you click on OK, every time in the future when you try and open an AJ file or JA file, Excel will be used to open that program with.